If you need tissue.
Welcome everybody to the Sitting with Stephen Parker show. And of course, I'm your host, Stephen Parker. And of course, we're bringing some of the most intriguing and interesting people in the world and in the country. And this young lady is no exception. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a Detroit native. She graduated from the University of Michigan. And she has been in our homes for many years reporting the news. She is an anchor woman for KRON TV Channel 4. And we're so honored to have her. She's won many awards, the George Peabody Award. She's won all kind of broadcast journalism awards. And I'm so happy to have her on the Sitting with Stephen Parker show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Pam Moore.
Oh, listen to you. I'm the one happy to be here with you. After all these months.
After all these months, we've been trying to put this together for so long, and I'm so happy you've taken time. We're here in the control room, you know, where everything happens, and you know, I know you're always busy.
Well, aren't we all these days?
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
We're really trying. So thank you for being here. And I know you don't have much time. I want to get started because I don't think you know how impactful you've been to so many people. Did you know that your life was going to end up doing broadcast journalism?
Well, growing up in Detroit, my dad always read the newspaper, and back then there were more than one newspaper in town.
Right.
And he would read them front to back every day. And that was intriguing to me, and that got my attention. So as I got older and he was still doing it, I started doing it too, and then we would debate. We'd argue about things in the paper or whatever was going on. And I was always very active in the community growing up in Detroit.
Wow.
So that was just a part of the way we were raised. I was going to church. I was very active in the church.
Wow.
So that all kind of fit together because community involvement has a lot to do with covering what's going on in your community.
Yes, ma'am.
And that kind of led to my interest in journalism. So I went to school for it, and I wound up starting in radio in Detroit and then moving into television.
Moving into television. And I tell you what, every time I see you, I can tell, that you're very serious about what you do. And you've been in the business for 30 years, give or take,
I don't tell anybody.
I ain't gonna tell everybody, but have you seen the business change for the better, particularly for African Americans, women of color? Have you seen things change for the better? Is there still room for growth?
Well, there's definitely room for growth. I think particularly in the management areas, management and ownership.
Wow.
We need more people of color, period, in ownership and management. And we need more diversity in the news because so many corporations are now gobbling up the major stations that it limits how many voices get a chance to speak. And so I think it's really important not only to have more people behind the scenes and on the air who are people of color and women, but also to have more opportunities for people like your show to voice alternate opinions which may not be expressed always in the major or mainstream media. So it's really important because all of us need to know what's going on. And one perspective is not always the only perspective. So the more avenues that we have to get information, the better it is for all of us to be better citizens, to be better Americans, to be better members of our community. So yeah, I'm for more diversity and for more outlets, for more voices to be heard.
Right. And I think because if we had that, the idea that we have about media, especially from our perspective, won't be so slanted. Don't you agree?
Yeah, well, again, more voices. If we can all learn to listen to one another more and hear other people's points of view, I think it helps shape how we view our world and maybe how we share our world as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I love your poise and your professionalism when you're on the air. Let me tell my Pam Moore story. I used to come home from school and watch the news all the time. And my mother was like, your dad, he's going to be so smart. He just loved to watch the news. I was waiting for Pam Moore to come on the air.
That's quite a compliment. That's a major compliment.
Yes, ma'am. A beautiful face and voice on the news. I was wondering, did you ever have problems with a particular story, that may have touched your heartstrings and you kind of maybe gotten emotional, or is there a story that kind of stood out that, was tough for you on the air?
All kinds of stories. I've been around long enough to have, covered and experienced many stories over the years that, because you live in a community, those stories affect you too.
Yeah.
So I can't say that there's one necessarily that stood out. One we talked about recently when we were doing some promotions here for our new 10 o'clock newscast was what happened in San Bruno, the explosion there. Because you keep wondering, could that have been prevented? Did that have to happen? And those people's lives were changed so dramatically. But that's only one of scores. So, you know, I've been a field reporter, so I've covered floods and fires and all kinds of stories in the field. Where I remember a camp I covered years ago. This is even before I moved here, called Camp Sunshine. It was a camp for kids who had cancer.
Wow.
And how moving that was to see these children find a place where they could be themselves and not worry about their illness. So, I mean, the list could go on and on. So there have been many.
And
I'll just add, I've also been encouraged by many of the stories I've heard, because one thing about being in the news business, and maybe as well as what you do, is that you get to meet people who are outside your own environment.
That's right.
And I think it's important to, just like we talked about the need for diversity, it's important to step outside your own world to see what other people are feeling and thinking, and understand why they're feeling and thinking that way, what their fears are, what their goals are, what their dreams for their children are. So all of those things, when you're a reporter, you get exposed to it all.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, you know, all of it. And at least for me, I think it has made me have a richer understanding of just being a part of this world we all share.
Yeah. Well, well said. I'm sitting with Stephen Parker with Pam Moore at the KRON 4 Studios. How lucky am I? Now, you've won so many awards. They've acknowledged you for, like you said, all your reporting. And I know that was pretty fun, kind of putting stories together as opposed to just sitting behind the desk. What is some of the awards that are most dearest to your heart that when you think over your career of winning awards?
Well, on the journalism side, the Peabody Award was probably the hallmark, because it was a series that the station collectively did on race, but I kind of led the drive for that story and what was happening inside our newsroom at the time, and we just looked at race.
Wow.
You know, races. It was when President Obama was just coming into office, and he had a speech on race, and that led us to talk about it inside our newsroom as well as outside in our community. Also, most recently, we got nominated for an Emmy for a special we did called Selma to Ferguson.
I remember.
So looking at we got nominated for that, and just looking at what's changed, what hasn't in that transition. And I got to talk with one of my idols and mentor, Belva Davis.
Oh, yes.
Who really is, she's one of the most wonderful people.
Wow.
I just love
She's
her.
one of the first women I saw.
And she is the first woman of color to work in television on the West Coast of the United States. Not just California, the entire West Coast.
Yes.
So I talked to Belva and to Willie Brown, the former Speaker of the California Assembly, and Mayor of San Francisco, and just hearing their perspectives looking back, because they were, I was a kid when things were going on, but they were in the thick of a lot of it. So those two awards, this latest Emmy nomination and the Peabody Award.
Congratulations.
But a lot of the community awards mean a lot, because, those are just, the people who are out on the front lines in our community doing things, and when they stop to want to honor you and they think that you represent something for what they stand for, that means a great deal, and that is a compliment to the time that you spend at work and at the community events, and you're like, oh God, when do I have time for my own life?
Right.
It comes back to you in different ways, and that's one of them.
Wow. And so many people tell me, that you are such a community servant. You work with NAACP, you work with Sheridan House, you work with the Big Sisters.
Yeah, I have been a Big Sister.
You've been a Big Sister.
Most recently, my most recent commitment has been to the East Oakland Development.
Yes.
Regina Jackson. I've worked with them for many years, and I have a scholarship there. And also with Friends of Faith, which is
Friends of Faith, Faith Fancher. Yes, ma'am.
So
we did a wonderful thing last year. It was Singing for the Survivors of breast cancer, and we worked with Carolyn Tyler and the Friends of Faith. They came and we sung karaoke. We want to do something again for that. I think that, and what Carolyn Tyler said, I'm getting off real quick, but what she said about Faith was, before she passed on, she said, what can we do? And Faith said, you can help the people who have to either choose to pay their rent or buy their medication.
She set it up. Yeah, we had a luncheon to all of the media friends of faith had a luncheon at Ilford, Iowa in San Francisco, where we wanted to tell her, look, we're going to be by your side, you're going through this diagnosis, we'll be there for you, we're your friends, you got to call and let us know. And after we all stood up, some of us were crying, you know, and at the end, she stood up and said, well, look at all of my friends here. I've got all these friends. You know what I'm going to do? I already have good insurance. I'm going to just help so we can get together, start an organization, and we're going to help other women low income who are diagnosed. And we looked at each other like, that wasn't why we came here.
Right, right.
And that was back in 1997 when she
Wow.
was diagnosed, and the organization is still alive today,
Wow.
even though she's passed on. It has stayed alive in her honor.
Yes, yes.
So anyway, you know, I think the way I was raised anyway, especially with folks from church that I, you know, had
You're a church girl?
all my life. Well, I am in my roots, but I'm not going regularly enough. So my family is quite upset with me. But I have a lot of churches in the Bay Area I do call home.
Yes, ma'am. We saw you at Charlie Haynes Church, BB Memorial, for that wonderful event.
I go and you know, Allen Temple.
Yes.
And I have several First AME, and I grew up in AME church.
Wow.
But one of the things one of our Sunday school teachers used to always tell us is that you had to give back. That you had to, no matter what it is or how small or large, that everybody can't do everything, but everybody should do something.
That's right. That's
and
right.
So
I totally agree.
And I think that is a lifelong message for me. I can't always do all the things I want to do. That's for sure.
Yes.
But I feel that I have a responsibility to do something.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sure people see you out on the streets. What do people say? I mean, you come in people's living rooms every day. You're almost like family. What are some things people say when they see you out and about?
They always ask about Gary.
Gary Ravitch, my man.
I know.
You guys have such a great relationship.
Yes, he's like I just love him. He's like family. We've, you know, been through a lot through work together.
Amen.
He knew my parents when they were alive. I know he knew his parents. His mom is still living. His children.
Wow.
So, you know, we don't hang out socially or anything, but we're very close as friends and co-workers. And he's like an extended family for me.
Wow.
But a lot of us at KRON who've been around a long time have that kind of feeling about each other. Just, you know, when you work together for a long time, if you like the people that you work with, it is your extended family.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
People ask about that, but they'll just so sometimes they're not sure where they know you from. They'll say, do you know Kaiser Permanente? And I'm like, no. And when I first got here, maybe a year after I had been here, I was walking down the street and this guy passed me. We were passing each other. And he turned around and said, I know you. And so I didn't want to say, yes, I'm not telling you. So I said, so I turned around and said, I don't know. You know, I was trying to, he said, from the school. And I was like, no. And so he went down a list. So finally I said, well, it's probably from the news. I do local news. He said, no, that's not it. And I fell out. And then he just turned and walked away. And I fell out laughing. I thought that was the best line.
Wow.
Because you don't want to come off as...
Right.
But now I've learned to just say, it's probably from the news.
Yeah.
As long as I've been around, it's probably from the news.
Yes,
so.
ma'am. And you look incredible.
Well,
and
nice
we honor we thank you for all of, you know, your reporting of the news. It's important, and I think, like I said, the impact you think especially young girls, you know, who see you and say, wow, there's a beautiful African-American woman who, you know, I can emulate after, and I can do what she's doing. So I'm sure.
None of us is perfect. So we all
absolutely.
have our bad days, our not made up days,
Right.
all of that. But I do believe in the relevance of trying to represent myself, my family, my community as a role model as best I can.
Yes,
you know?
ma'am.
So there's no perfection in it. You know, we all are not, like I said, not our best all the time. But I see that as a part of, you know, who we should all be.
That's right.
Role models.
That's right. That's right. Well, again, you know, I thank you for all of the work that you're doing. What's in the future for you? I know you got a book or something. You got to write a book.
No, I can't. No, I don't.
You got to write a tell-all or something.
I just, you know, at this point, don't know. I think about that sometimes because, you know, I have been around a long time. I think about what other kinds of things I would like to do.
Wow.
And the main thing I come up with is that I'd like to be a wealthy philanthropist.
Wow.
So if I win Powerball,
wow,
I'd be a wealthy philanthropist.
Well, you know, we all think you're rich anyway, right?
Well, that's not true.
We all think she's rich anyway. Huh?
That's definitely not true.
Well, thank you so much again, and we thank you for having us here. I'm going to catch you when you have more time. I know you got to go get tonight's story together, but again, I honor you, and I thank you for being so kind. Every time we talk, you're so kind.
You kept at it.
Yes, ma'am. It's your man, Steve Parker. I am with the legendary Pam Moore. You guys stay tuned in to KRON4 and check her out every night. And we thank God for you. What's my man's name over here? Let me get my man.
Michael Quick.
Michael Quick. Get Michael Quick. That's Mike Quick. He's the director. Michael Quick. He gets all this stuff. Yes. I don't know what this stuff means, but Mike do. We'll see you guys next time when we bring you some more intriguing, exciting people. Thanks to my guest, Miss Pam Moore, and of course, DJ, my producer, Demeter Joe. We'll see you guys next time. God bless you.